was quite a collection of stones in the area, also proceeding from those young mischiefs, that there were games chalked on the pavement before the house, and likenesses of ghosts chalked on the street door; that the windows were all darkened by rotting old blinds or shutters, or both; that the bills "To Let" had curled up, as if the damp air of the place had given them cramps, or had dropped down into corners as if they were no more. I had seen all this on my first visit, and I had remarked to Trottle that the lower part of the black board about terms was split away, that the rest had become illegible, and that the very stone of the doorsteps was broken across. Notwithstanding, I sat at my breakfast table on that Please to Remember the 5th of November morning, staring at the house through my glasses, as if I had never looked at it before. All at once, in the first floor window on my right, down in a low corner, at a hole in a blind or a shutter, I found that I was looking at a secret eye. The reflection of my fire may have touched it and made it shine, but I saw it shine and vanish. The eye might have seen me, or it might not have seen me, sitting there in the glow of my fire. You can take which probability you prefer, without offence. But something struck through my frame, as if the sparkle of this eye had been electric, and had flashed straight at me. It had such an effect upon me that I could not remain by myself, and I rang for Flobbins, and invented some little jobs for her, to keep her in the room. After my breakfast was cleared away, I sat in the same place, with my glasses on, moving my head, now so, and now so, trying whether, with the shining of my fire, and the flaws in the window glass, I could reproduce any sparkle seeming to be up there that was like the sparkle of an eye. But no, I could make nothing like it. I could make ripples and crooked lines in the front of the House to Let, and I could even twist one window up and loop it into another, but I could make no eye, nor anything like an eye. So I convinced myself that I really had seen an eye. Well, to be sure, I could not get rid of the impression of this eye, and it troubled me and troubled me, until it was almost a torment. I don't think I was previously inclined to concern my head much about the opposite house. But after this eye, my head was full of the house, and I thought of little else than the house, and I watched the house, and I talked about the house, and I dreamed of the house. In all this I fully believe now there was a good Providence, but you will judge for yourself about that by and by. My landlord was a butler, who had married a cook and set up housekeeping. They had not kept house longer than a couple of years, and they knew no more about the House to Let than I did. Neither could I find out anything concerning it among the tradespeople or otherwise, further than what Trottle had told me at first. It had been empty, some said 6 years, some said 8, some said 10. It never did let, they all agreed, and it never would let. I soon felt convinced that I should work myself into one of my states about the house, and I soon did. I lived for a whole month in a flurry that was always getting worse. Towers's prescriptions, which I had brought to London with me, were of no more use than nothing. In the cold winter sunlight, in the thick winter fog, in the black winter rain, in the white winter snow, The house was equally on my mind. I have heard, as everybody else has, of a spirit's haunting a house, but I have had my own personal experience of a house's haunting a spirit, for that house haunted mine. In all that month's time, I never saw any one go into the house nor come out of the house. I supposed that such a thing must take place sometimes in the dead of the night, or the glimmer of the morning, but I never saw it done. I got no relief from having my curtains drawn when it came on dark, and shutting out the house. The eye then began to shine in my fire. I am a single old woman. I should say at once, without being at all afraid of the name, I am an old maid, only that I am older than the phrase would express. The time was when I had my love trouble, but it is long and long ago. He was killed at sea, dear Heaven rest his blessed head, when I was 25. I have all my life, since ever I can remember, been deeply fond of children. I have always felt such a love for them, that I have had my sorrowful and sinful times, when I have fancied something must have gone wrong in my life. Something must have been turned aside from its original intention, I mean, or I should have been the proud and happy mother of many children, and a fond old grandmother this day. I have soon known better in the cheerfulness and contentment that God has blessed me with, and given me abundant reason for. And yet I have had to dry my eyes even then, when I have thought of my dear, brave, hopeful, handsome, bright-eyed Charley, and the trust meant to cheer me with. Charley was my youngest brother, and he went to India. He married there, and sent his gentle little wife home to me to be confined, and she was to go back to him, and the baby was to be left with me, and I was to bring it up. It never belonged to this life. It took its silent place among the other incidents in my story that might have been, but never were. I had hardly time to whisper to her, "Dead, my own," or she to answer, "Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Oh, lay it on my breast, and comfort Charley," when she had gone to seek her baby at our Saviour's feet. I went to Charley, and I told him there was nothing left but me, poor me, and I lived with Charley out there several years. He was a man of 50 when he fell asleep in my arms. His face had changed to be almost old and a little stern, but it softened and softened when I laid it down, that I might cry and pray beside it. And when I looked at it for the last time, it was my dear, untroubled, handsome, youthful Charley of long ago. I was going on to tell that the loneliness of the house to let brought back all these recollections, and that they had quite pierced my heart one evening, when Flobbins, opening the door, and looking very much as if she wanted to laugh, but thought better of it, said, "Mr. Jabez Jarber, ma'am." Upon which Mr. Jarber ambled in his usual absurd way, saying, "Sophonisba," which I am obliged to confess is my name. A pretty one and proper one enough when it was given to me, but a good many years out of date now, and always sounding particularly high-flown and comical from his lips. So I said sharply, "Though it is Sophonisba, Jarber, you are not obliged to mention it, that I see." In reply to this observation, the ridiculous man put the tips of my 5 right-hand fingers to his lips, and said again, with an aggravating accent on